So you've made up your mind, you're gonna actually take the step, call me and move to Tacoma. Well, now the next thing is for you to buy a home here. And in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about 5 things that you can absolutely not skip out on when it comes to buying a home here in Tacoma. And we're getting after it right now. Thing on my list is gonna be finances, and I mean this in 2 ways. Not only just getting a pre-approval, but also assessing your finances to make sure that your financial home is in order. Buying a house is not like walking through the grocery aisle at Walmart, seeing a Snickers bar, grabbing it, and jetting out of the place. This is hundreds of thousands, if not millions, for a lot of us. So we need to make sure that we have it all wrapped up into a nice, beautiful little plan. Sit down with your partner, go over a budget, see what you can realistically afford. Now, what I would always suggest is that you don't spend all of that money when it comes to buying a house. You are gonna have things that go out and need repaired over the process when you're living here in Tacoma, so you wanna have some money left in the bank. A lot of times, paying off extra debts is going to go a lot further with the home buying process than necessarily putting more money down. So go ahead and take care of any outstanding debts that you can afford to take care of, especially ones that have larger monthly payments, because a lot of times these lenders are going to look at things like your debt to income ratio, which is what is your monthly incoming versus your monthly outgoing. The number 2 thing about buying a home here in Tacoma that you really need to be aware of is selecting a really good real estate broker. Now, what I mean by that is I don't necessarily mean the best as far as like doing a shitload of paperwork. I mean, who do you click with? Like if you've watched hours and hours of our videos, then you should probably either call, text, or email us right away, because we're getting phone calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you who are looking to make the move to Tacoma, and we literally love it. So who do you vibe with? Who is somebody that you connect with that you feel like is gonna be on your team? And since you're relocating, more than likely, somebody that maybe can be your first connection into the city. So it's kind of a double representation. It's someone who's gonna help you along the way with your real estate process, and then also someone who's going to be there to plug you into the community. Some things that I would really look out for. Now remember, a lot of times the seller ends up compensating the buyer's agent when you're buying a house here in Tacoma. So that's one thing you can really look out for, is talk to that broker, see how they ultimately choose to get paid. Another thing is who has knowledge of the area. More than anything else, if you're relocating to Tacoma, you're going to want to make sure that you're talking with a broker who's got like a lot of base knowledge of what life is like in Tacoma, so they can help you better select a neighborhood that is fitting for you, because it's not all cookie cutters. It's not just one giant community. Tacoma has so many different flavors and subcultures across the board that what you don't want to do is find yourself in a community for 2 years and then in 24 months be like, you know what, this wasn't it, I want out. Number 3, you've got to get a stellar loan officer to handle your mortgage if you're using one. Now, of course, I will link Elena, who's our relocation expert, and does all of our YouTube clients' information down below, so you can reach out to her, give her a call if you're looking for some financing. But you want to have somebody that is able to, look at different kinds of jobs. For example, a lot of these places like Amazon will give you a salary if you move here, plus they have all these little different types of minute bonuses that go in and out. Or if you're a veteran, people that understand BAH, that understand your pay structure, and all the specifics that come with the military. Now, the other key here is, and I know a lot of people right now are looking at all these Rocket Mortgage or Veterans United, but if you're moving to Tacoma, guys, you've got to have a lender in Tacoma. If nothing else in this video, I need you to grasp this. You've got to have a local Washington lender. This state is very peculiar. There are all types of different financing regulations. There are all types of different financing benefits, and you could very easily lose out on some of those opportunities if you don't have a local lender. The other thing too is a lot of brokers, like even myself, when I have a listing, if I get some .com pre-approval for somebody, it really makes me question how valid the financing is with these pre-approvals, because a lot of local brokers will go ahead and they will get you fully underwritten. That means they've gotten all of your paperwork, they've looked for your finances, and they'll give you a good to go that is essentially about the same as having a check in your hand or cash ready to buy a house. And I can tell you on the listing side, man, this sure makes me really, really happy. So if you want to have an ultra competitive advantage, you've got to get yourself with a local lender. Number 4 on the list, and this is also a huge one out here with so many new communities popping up left and right, is whatever real estate agent you found, you need them to be with you when you go visit new build communities. There's so many incredible new build communities out here, all the way from south of Tacoma to north of Seattle, but you want your agent there with you when you're touring those properties. You want to have that representation, you want to have that advocacy. There's nothing wrong with the guys that work for the builders, but they do exactly that. They work for the builders. Their interest is in the interest of the builder getting what they need. Imagine going to court. You show up and the guy suing you is using the same attorney as you are. Would that not make you feel just kind of weird? Yes, absolutely. So make sure you have your own representation the very first time you walk into a new build center. These new build centers are going to have their own builder contracts, and there's a lot of intricacies, and they are very vastly different from one another. So having your own agent is not only going to help you negotiate a better deal, but they're going to help you understand what is inside of these secret builder contracts that for some reason can never just be floating around for you to see out here, right? With that, your agent is also going to have the local market knowledge, so they're going to be aware of what things should cost, what upgrades should cost, and what the trends are in the local market if you've hired the right agent, like we talked about in point number 2. And lastly, when it comes to new builds, your local agent, if you're calling us to go help you look at a new build, we know everybody else. We know all the vendors, we know the plumbers, we know the siding guys. Anything that you will need to buy a new home, we've got it. We've already made those connections, we're already friends with them. You just take that off of your plate. So that is a super, super big one. And number 5, make sure that you assess all of the costs. I know it's very easy to think, hey, I'm getting an FHA loan, it's gonna be 3.5% down, so I need $20,000, whatever that number looks like. But what we're seeing is that a lot of people who are relocating, they're getting that early on jump, especially if they haven't done a buyer's Zoom with us before they're getting here, and they're not taking into account that there are other expenses involved. Like, are you moving with a pod? Are you relocating with a moving company? Are you just U-hauling it all the way across the country? I don't recommend that, by the way, as someone that has moved across the country. Definitely go with the pod or the moving company. So that could be anywhere from 8 to 12 grand. Also, don't forget closing costs. Now, while there are certain closing costs that are specific to the seller, like the excise tax, and there are like lender closing costs that are specific to the buyer, the typical closing cost, that 2 to 3%, is split down the middle between the buyer and the seller. So as we're looking at homes, you want to make sure that we're having those conversations of, hey, what is closing costs going to look like? Let's run that through the lender. But make sure that you are taking into account any extra costs outside of your down payment that might be coming up. All right, guys, well, there you have it. Those are 5 things that you absolutely cannot miss when you're looking to buy a home here in Tacoma. Again, Chris, myself, and the team, we're getting phone calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to relocate to right here in the greater Tacoma area. I've done it from the Midwest. I can tell you there are a million lessons to learn, and these videos are out here to help you learn from my mistakes. So I can't wait to see you guys again, and until next time, I cannot wait till you're out here so that we can show you around.